rice?
It's a commodity.
Okay, it's a commodity.
It's a grain.
A grain? Okay.
In terms of an asset.
So it varies in importance in the culture.
Okay. So it might be utilized in different ways depending on the cultural environment we're talking about. Okay, anything else? Because you see the second question here. Branding rice. How does that work? We're talking about a staple, a commodity, grain. Okay.
There are different attributes to different kinds of grains. So there may be non-stick rice and so different kinds of qualities that people may prefer. So you come up with a branding campaign based on those different qualities.
Mm-hmm. So you still have to deal with consumer preferences. Again, going back to what Jennifer was just saying, that different cultures, different environments might use it in different ways. You still have to pay attention to those aspects, and you are able then to develop, let's say, a marketing campaign towards those specific consumer behaviors or preferences. Okay. Now, so what kind of value does it add to the consumer?
I mean, it gives you product consistency. So I know if I get Uncle Ben's anywhere in the world, it's going to taste the same. I know the quality I'm getting.
Yeah. It's very predictable.
Right.
You have that insurance that this is the predicted quality that you know of Uncle Ben's.
Right. Kind of takes the question out of it.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm in Italy and I see an Uncle Ben's box, I know it's going to taste the same as it does in DC.
Yeah. So this is not even just branding. This is almost the global branding that we're talking about here, that you can move around in the world and pretty much be sure that you get the right kind of appropriate level of quality.
I think there's an emotional element too, like a person may think that because they're purchasing a more expensive brand, that they may think that it's more sophisticated, or whereas if it's a little bit cheaper and the brand isn't known to have high quality, it may just be seen as just a staple or commodity. So it's not as luxurious.
Yeah. So to give some kind of gratification to the consumer, knowing that they are buying an upscale product and kind of be assuring in that way. Robert?
I don't want to throw anything into this, but rice is rice. Like white rice, anywhere is white rice. And so maybe I get with the branding side of it.
Did you read the case?
White rice is white rice.
No.
Like I've had.
No,
I'm thinking of
rice
like
is drier than other rice.
Yeah, the stickiness, the length of the flavor.
You have to buy the new grain.
I've had lots of rice and it all tastes the
Sticky
same.
rice. We have chains in the camp.
Rice, they don't have like sort of like beans or something, or some other sort of staple dish like a Mexican family
Yeah.
use, or if it's like an Italian rice, or like a long grain rice or something, you don't have like Texas chicken.
So really, just the potential of the packaging is great, right? And you don't necessarily have that if you buy it in bulk, let's say. So you can actually educate your customer and create a relationship with the customer through using the packaging. Again, that's a positive thing for the consumer, but also for the company, right? Because they have that venue of access to the consumer. Chris?
I was going to go a little further than what you said over there about you know what you're going to get. The consistency also has a bit of nostalgia. If it's something that my mom cooked with it, then I'm probably going to buy it more, so I can associate it with home.
And that seems to have been the case. If we look at the case, which we're going to do later, there seems to be some of those sentiments very clearly in the rice market. In terms of the selection process for consumers, that's also something we talked about generally before. We talked about the benefits of global branding. That the selection process is a little bit easier when you are familiar with the brand. So you don't have to think so much, you don't have to look at all the details and compare. The brand speaks volumes to you already if it's a well-developed and successful brand. So that's also another aspect. For the company, other positives of branding? Jay and then Megan?
I mean, they can have a global marketing strategy. So anywhere in the world they go, they can carry that brand and that strategy there behind it into that market.
Okay, so it has that transferability and creating power through that.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. Like for a product that has a lot of conception of being the same, kind of, as he was mentioning, it helps to differentiate themselves when there's really not a lot that they can do otherwise.
Yeah, maybe, because maybe Robert is right after all.
A little
There's
bit,
not
maybe.
that much. No, I know, there are definitely differences,
Right.
but again, it's a valued argument that this is really pretty much a staple. It's just different varieties of the staple, maybe. But again, with the branding process, you can actually create bigger differences. And what you do in that process is that you actually create capital with your consumers. So you are then able to charge higher prices usually. That's really a big point of branding to begin with, that you can. And that's exactly what we're going to take a look at a little bit closer in the case eventually. Why has this company been so successful? Shannon, why don't you start?
It's one of the few companies in the world that's involved in the entire rice production process, from growing and milling to packaging and marketing the product.
Yeah. So it's perfectly vertically integrated, and it focuses entirely on rice, this staple or branded staple. The innovation is an important part. They try to always be ahead of the competition when it comes to innovation. And also that enables them to keep upscaling, so to speak, their products and go into high margin products as much as possible, which is, again, kind of goes right back to the successes of the company itself. Anything else? Yeah, Paul?
I mean, I think, while not mentioned in the case, I think by having all their production in-house, whether it be manufacturing, growing, it eliminates a lot of quality control issues that
Yeah.
another company might run into, so they can ensure that all their rice meets the highest standards that their company seeks to ensure, or if it's a lower brand rice, they can make sure that it's not I mean, they can just keep everything in-house, and that quality control is there. So.
Yeah. The whole control over the full process is definitely very important, and that enables them to be consistent, for sure. Now, in this specific instance in history, what is the central problem right now? Why are we even doing this case? What are some issues that the company is facing right in this moment? What do they have to figure out this time? Justin?
Well, they're losing market share in Italy.
Okay. They are on shaky ground. You can maybe be even more specific. What's going on in Italy? You or somebody else? What's happening in Italy?
I can't remember the exact names of the first two brands, but I'm pretty sure that they're losing market share over the last couple of years. And they have a big French competitor that is disrupting
Yeah.
their market share.
And there's some specific issues in the supermarket arena, right?
Flora brand is growing stronger in the supermarket versus Gallo.
Yeah. Why? What's the possible explanation for that? Why would Flora be so strong? There's some inherent issues there. I think it has to do with the margins that the
Well, Flora's operating at a 30% margin, so it seems like so they're spending. It suggests that they could be spending money more appropriately to drive sales than the 35% margin that Aruba is operating on.
Yeah. No, I think that there's definitely more incentive in terms of there's something, again, look at some facts right now. So you would just put down, like, these are the differences, and then we can pray.
So half rice
How that
almost increase in carbon rice.
Now, Gallo's margin is
Okay, but
It's an important fact that there's
they do have a production.
one of the facts is in the market.
just present the facts. And when you do this, and we can actually start with Italy, since that's after all our home market. We're going to start with Italy, and then as we go along, looking at Argentina and Poland, please try to refer back to what the other group said. So in comparison to Argentina, for example, this is what Poland is and does. So try to make it kind of integrate. Okay, so let's start with Italy, and I think we can just kind of go down the line, these three questions that we have in terms of the rice consumption and the consumer trends. Then we have number 2, it's Gallo's market position, and 3 are the specific marketing challenges faced in these specific markets.